So who is Larry Goins? What exactly do you do? I mean, because your business is a lot like mine. And I like how you and I think we have a very student client centric business where
Right.
we want to see our students do well. We want to see them succeed.
Sure. Sure.
It feels so good when we see them win.
That's true. Yeah, I was out there as a road warrior, but November was my last speaking gig at RIA Groups.
Really?
Keep that up. Now I will speak at a few conventions and expos, but for the most part, I'm in here in the office buying and selling houses every day.
Yeah. Okay, now tell me, because you've got this new thing about the day trader or the virtual real estate. Tell me about that, because I want to see how we can parlay that to the multifamily side. I mean, because it's all about finding the deals and knowing how to find them. That's it.
It is, and I wrote this book, Getting Started in Real Estate Day Trading, available wherever books are sold. And but I came out with it a few years ago, and then I recently updated it. But it's primarily what we do, and I call this, this is how you generate chunks of cash to be able to use on deals like multifamily deals.
Okay. All right. So give us an idea of exactly how it works and what is a day in the life of a real estate day trader like?
Well, what you do is you generate leads. The phone rings, you negotiate them over the phone. We make our offer on the very first phone call and then negotiate the deal. And there's a lot of follow-up because not every one of them are you going to buy on the very first phone call. And the fortune is in the follow-up.
Yeah.
So we make our offer. And some of them are accepted right away. Some of them aren't. And then once we get an offer accepted, we send a mobile notary out to their house. I've got a mobile notary at their house within 2 hours, so they can't change their mind.
Okay, now hold on. I'm actually going to take an existing situation in my business, and I want you to take it. So, my students are out there. I'm really stressing this beginning of this year is really focusing on a particular market and using direct mail to go after and find those owners.
Right.
I'm telling you, direct mail works every time it's been tried, and those students are coming back with leads. Now, there's one particular student. English is not this person's first language. So they have trouble communicating. And I said, listen, I'll take it on. I will, I'll help you out. So they get a lead of a 4-unit property. And they said, will you call this owner? So I call the owner. And I like what you just said. And say it again about the first call is not
I make my offer on the first phone call.
Okay.
But I don't always get them on the first phone call. And you got to remember, the fortune is in the follow-up.
The fortune is in the follow-up. That is huge. And listen, that relates across the board, not just for sellers, but even for building relationships with brokers, with property managers. The fortune is in the follow-up. That's
right.
I'm writing that one down there, Larry. You don't know. Oh, fortune is in the follow-up. Let me just turn to my paralegal. Can you go trademark that one for me? Trademark.
There you go.
Yeah. So every time Larry uses it, he has
You'll find my name at the top.
Exactly. Fortune's the fall. Okay, so I called this guy, and he says, "I'm not really looking to sell, but if the price is right, I'll sell." What do you say to a guy like that?
Well, here's what we do. I try to price condition people. Right? It's not what I'm offering you. It's what will the market bear. For example, I buy a lot of little small houses that are rented out, right? And I get really good deals on them. In fact, I want to sell those houses. I want to buy them or sell them as close as I can to 2% per month rents. So if it's rented out for $500, I'm going to buy it or sell it for $25,000. If it's rented out for $800, I'm going to buy it or sell it for $40,000. So I'll tell them right up front, hey, look, I just want to let you know, it's a rental property. I buy and sell a lot of rental properties. Let me tell you kind of what they're going for right now. They're going for about 2% per month, right? So if it's rented out for $400, I can give you $20,000. If it's rented out for $500, I can give you $25,000 minus whatever repairs. And you already told me it needed this, 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 and this. That sounds like about $3,000 to $5,000. So if it's rented out for $500 a month, I could give you 25 minus $5,000, $20,000 is your number. Now, whether you want to sell it to me or anybody else, that's going to be the number. That's what they're going for right now in today's market right now. Now, how quick did you want to get your money?
Yeah. That's where it comes in. It's now we start talking terms.
Right. How quick do you want to get your money? Right.
Yeah.
You want to get your money in the next 30 days. Oh, wow. We better get started. I tell you what, I got somebody going to be in your area at this afternoon. Is 1 o'clock okay? Or would 3 o'clock be better? And I have them stop by, get the paperwork started so we can get you your money as soon as possible.
Okay. Let me just tell you, I just suffered a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder because of the way you just phrased that. It reminded me of my old life insurance selling days right out of college. I readily understand that. Would 2 o'clock or would 4 o'clock be better for you, Mr. Buyer? That's exactly the way we learned how to do it. But that's it. It's a sales job. It's a sales job.
And it's called the alternative choice close.
Yeah. Implied consent.
Either one they pick, they confirm they're going ahead.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So it just goes to show you, Larry, people are looking again in the real estate business because they think they want to be this big real estate magnate. You got to be a salesman at some point in the business. I mean, you can't just outsource that aspect of the business to somebody else when you're trying to start a new business. You got to get out there and pick up the phone and pound the pavement. So, all right. So this is what you mean by the day trading and the by just. So I guess we kind of glossed over a little part that I want you to spend a little bit more time on. You say you're constantly marketing or looking for deals. How do you do that?
Well, just to clarify, and I'll get into the marketing, but just to clarify, the real estate day trading is basically buying and selling a house the same day using the internet.
Yeah.
We've bought and sold houses in 12 different states right from this office in Lake Wiley, South Carolina, which is right across the state line from Charlotte, North Carolina. And there's some times when you can get all your deals on HUD or MLS, and I bought and sold a lot of HUD houses, right? But right now, it being a seller's market, you've got to go out there and you got to find unadvertised properties. So we do a lot of direct mail and some bandit signs. We mail out 25,000 postcards a month, and we just bumped that up to 37.5 starting next month. So our phone rings a couple of hundred times a week. And then what'll happen is when the phone rings, we separate the suspects from the prospects, and then they turn them over to me, right? Yeah. So I got a couple people that what they do is they're out there on the phone taking calls or calling people back, and they're going through and asking them a lot of questions. They spend about probably 10 or 15 minutes on the phone with them, right? Tell me a little bit about the house. What would you rate the interior condition on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being perfect, right? Well, it's a 7. Well, what's it going to take to get it to a 10, right? And they'll write all this stuff down. And then they find out, so then this is a really good question right here. So what's going on right now in your life has you thinking about selling this property really fast, right?
Love it.
And there's another one that I like that they always ask, we buy properties, we pay cash, we pay all the closing costs, and we'll buy it in its as-is condition. So let me ask you a question. What's more important to you, a fast cash sale as is, or getting the most amount of money you can for your property?
I'll tell you that.
Even if it takes a while. The
one that you said about, so what is going on in your life right now that has you wanting to sell this property? That goes to my mantra. Yep, that goes to my mantra that every seller has a problem. Even the person that doesn't think they have a problem, there's something down there that makes them want to sell this property. It's your job is to find out what that problem is.
That's right.
And to solve it. That's what you do. You just solve the problems.
That's right.
Yep. That's fantastic. Larry, great stuff. Great stuff. All right. So let's see. What are some, you've got your hand out there. You've got so much great education out there. Talking about the day trading, talking about, how about the filthy riches? What is filthy riches? I love
Filthy riches is a model that I came up with, and I didn't invent it. I just perfected it. Okay.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Check to see if he's trademarked that one yet. I'm going to want that.
So filthy riches is a model that I call how to make more money on a rundown $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 house than most investors make on a $100,000 house, right? So what we do is we buy these little cheap houses. We might pay 5, 10, 15, 20. I've done it on houses as cheap as 1,500 and as high as 55,000, this model. But all we do is, let's say you find a house, and the key is the house needs to be close to livable. It doesn't have to be livable. It has to be close to livable. It can't be a house that needs a roof. It needs a foundation repair. It can't be a house that needs, a $5,000 chunk of repairs before somebody can move in. Yeah, it can need paint, carpet, maybe some new countertops, maybe the cabinets need painting or whatever. But if it needs a new roof right off the bat, if the roof's leaking, it won't work, okay? So you find a house like that. Let's say you pay $5,000 for it. And there's a lot of them out there. I'm buying houses right now and paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right? We just bought one last week for $4,000. So what you do is you buy this house and then you turn around and sell it with owner financing. Let's say $29,900. Let's say I buy it for $5,000. I sell it for $29,900. I get a couple $1,000s down, and then I finance the balance for, say, 10 years, right? For 10 years, and my payment is going to be about $384 a month, something like that. I charge 9% interest, $384.92, I believe, a month is what that is. 9% for 10 years, $28,000, and then they're paying me for the next 10 years. And now I only have $3,000 in it because I bought it for $5,000 and I got $2,000 down, right? So I got $3,000 in it and I'm getting $384 a month. That's like 141% return on my money
per year.
Yeah, the first year.
Yeah. After that,
you got nothing in it.
Exactly. Then you're at infinity after that.
You can't even calculate it. It's so high.
I got to tell you though, and this is, I'm sure you've heard this a million times. Larry, you can't spend $5,000 on a house up here in New England. I mean, they just don't exist. So, I mean, you're talking South Carolina, but I'm telling you, I'm moving to South Carolina in 5 years. Everyone knows that's my goal. I'm moving to South Carolina. I got to get out of this cold, and to hear those types of prices just makes me so envious. But what if you're up here in New England, and how do you handle those types of transactions? A filthy rich type of transaction, because even the rents. I mean, yeah, your rents are pretty darn close. Well, no, I guess not. I guess we're up in the a couple of 2 bedrooms, $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Right.
So all right. So give me how do we handle it up here in New England?
Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about that. See, I'm in the Charlotte MSA, right? Metropolitan Statistical Area.
Yep.
Listen, it's been over 5 years since I bought a house in Charlotte. Over 5 years. The last house I bought in Charlotte, I wholesaled it. It was a house in Ballantyne Country Club. I paid I can't remember, I think it was $350,000. It was a $1.8 million house, but it had fire damage. It had like $1 million in fire damage. I bought it. I got it under contract for $500 for $350, and I wholesaled it for $395,000. Wow. That was the last deal I bought in Charlotte. And that was over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, most of our students that are doing this, don't even have any of these properties anywhere close to where they are. In fact, some of our most successful students are on the West Coast where the prices look like phone numbers. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what ours is like. The way to describe it is the numbers look like phone numbers. I was just teaching out in San Diego, and man, it's a different world out there. It's a totally different world out there.
It is. Yeah. It is. That's for sure. But the good news is, listen, we do all our business by phone, email, and internet. I used to say phone, fax, FedEx, email, and internet. We don't even use FedEx or fax anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so funny you say that. I had a client said, "Hey, I said, listen, for me to advise you, I'm going to need to see that contract." He goes, "Okay, what's your fax number?" And I was like, my eyes open. I'm like, I don't know my fax number. Why would you ask me that? And because that's all the guy had was a fax machine. You know how he ended up having to get it to me?
You know what's really cool is there's apps now, and like one of them is called Scannable, where all you got to do is hold it over the document. It takes a picture of it. You email it to anybody. Then you open it up with an app called Sign Now, and you can sign it with your finger and send it back.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's actually how the guy ended up getting it to me. He had to take a picture off his phone and text it to me. That's how we ended up doing the deal. So unbelievable. Now let me ask you something, because I keep going back to this, and I know you are a master of this, and everybody has to hear this about marketing, about finding the deals. Let's take one thing in particular. Let's talk about HUD, because I know you use HUD for a ton, all your single families, but sometimes you can get some multis on HUD as well. So why don't you talk to everybody on the call about what exactly HUD does? Where do you find the deals on HUD? What's the best way to work with HUD?
Yeah, and in fact, I do buy a lot of HUD houses. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, there's not as many HUD houses as there used to be.
I know.
I even wrote a book about it called HUD Homes Half Off. How to buy HUD houses for pennies on the dollar, right? But I have bought and sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of HUD houses over the years. I think I bought my first one in the 80s, back when they used to have a little book that you looked at them. You looked at all the HUD houses, and you had to fax in your offer then. Now every HUD house is bought at HUDHomestore.com, right? And there's a lot of little different techniques.
Wait, what's it called again? HUDHomestore.com?
You got it. You
Wow.
got it. That's the only place in the world you can buy a HUD house, right? Now, HUD, basically a HUD house, just for those of you who may not understand what a HUD house is, somebody went out and got an FHA loan, right? Now, FHA is the same thing as HUD. FHA does not make loans. They insure loans.
Right.
So you go to a bank like Bank of America or Wells Fargo, and they underwrite that loan to FHA guidelines, and then FHA will insure that loan. So a portion of your payment over and above the principal and interest and taxes and insurance, a portion of it goes to pay HUD. So that way, if they default on that FHA loan, then the bank contacts HUD or FHA and says, hey, we got a defaulted loan here. We need you to buy it back. So then FHA buys it, they foreclose on it, and it becomes a HUD house.
Okay.
Right? And then what they do is they hire a local asset manager. They have about one per state. They have an asset manager. They'll hire a realtor. They'll go winterize the house. They clean out the house. That's some things I love about HUD is I've never been into a rundown, smelly, trashed house that's owned by HUD, because they clean it out. If the house smells, they take the carpet out, and they also do what's called, they get a PCR, property condition report.
Yep.
They pay a local field service rep to go by there. The asset manager hires a field service rep. They go by there and they got a checklist, right? And they go through and they check things like the roof, the wiring, the plumbing, the kitchen, the bathroom. Now, they're not going to tell you if the house needs paint and carpet, right? But think about it. It's all the major items, paint, or not paint, but roof and kitchen, plumbing, wiring, HVAC.
Yep.
They run a pressure test on the plumbing. Does it have pressure? They check the outlets and stuff. So you've got a list right there. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you it's not always 100% accurate, okay?
Okay.
But you do get a really good idea as to the condition of a HUD house. And then, now remember, HUD is a daily auction. You can bid on every HUD house every single day. And that's what we do. We'll bid on it. We'll bid on it every day. And when you bid on it, one of three things happen. If you don't hear back from them, nothing happened. Your bid simply expired. Or you get a counter offer. Like maybe it's listed for 60, you offered 20, they countered at 40. Okay. So,
but hey, Larry, do you really make those types of swings in the offer? If it says 60, will you just go out there and throw out a 20 offer?
Well, you know what? I'm really glad you brought that up, because I actually have two different ways I bid on HUD houses. I have the shotgun and the rifle approach.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll be glad to get into that for you as well and show you exactly how we do it. But if they counter, they get a counter, or they may accept your bid, right? And then you got 2 business days to get your paperwork in and your deposit in and that sort of thing, right? Now, if they counter, you can do one of 4 things. If they counter, you can do nothing and the counter expires. you can counter back. You can submit an entirely new bid and ignore the counter, or you can accept their counter offer, right?
Right.
So I've got two bidding methods. When I go into a new market, right, I don't know the market, I haven't been there yet, I start out, and now this method is a short-term method. I start out with the shotgun approach, okay? The shotgun approach is simply bidding a percentage of the asking price. For example, let's say the house, everything 50,000 or less, I'm going to bid 25%, okay? So if it's listed for 40 grand, 25% is 10 grand, right? So if that's 25%, let's say everything 50 to 100,000 list price, I might bid 40%, okay?
Okay.
So if it's listed for 60, might bid 24, I would bid 24,000, right? Because that's 40% of 60. So, and if it's over 100, I would bid 50%, okay? Now, you're not going to get a lot of offers accepted, but what you will get are some counter offers, and then you go back in and zero in and look at these deals and analyze them and say, oh, I might have bid 25%, but I could really go up to 30%. So you'll counter back or submit a new bid, right?
Yeah.
It's just a way for what I call buy your way into the market really quick, right? It's like when a new store opens up. A new store opens up right next to Walmart, and they're selling phones or clothes or whatever below cost because they're buying their way into the market to get a lot of activity going. Yeah. That's what we do with the shotgun approach. We're buying our way in the market by making a lot of low bids, and then when we get a counter, then we take a look at it and drill down and determine exactly what we can pay. Now, remember, the shotgun approach is a short-term, temporary approach.
Yeah.
Once you've got all your bids going, let's say you're bidding on 50 properties a day, okay? And it's all automatic. You've got those percentages going out, and you can hire a VA to put these bids in for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but let's say you've got all those bids going. Then what you do is you take the very first property on your list, and we got a spreadsheet. It comes with the book, a spreadsheet where you export the list from HUD and import it into the spreadsheet, and then you analyze each deal, right? The spreadsheet's color-coded and tells you which you update it every day. It tells you what counters you have, the back on the market, the new listings, the price reductions, and all that stuff, okay? But then what you do is you take your very first property on your list of 50 you're bidding on, and then you analyze that property. You know, you drive the street online, you pull comps, you pull rent comps, you can even call the realtor, call a property manager, whatever you want to do. And let's say that property was listed for 40 and your bid is 10 based on the shotgun approach. After you analyze that deal, you might determine, oh, I could really pay 18 for this one. So you change your 10 to 18, right? Then you go to property number 2 and you do that all the way until you get through 50. And then after that, you're just working the back on the markets, the newly listed, the price reductions, and the counters.
Yep. Wow, that is fantastic. I tell you, Larry, I think you and I are cut from the same cloth when it comes to teaching. You know, you have said a couple of things here that you sound like me. Like, number one, fortune is in the follow-up. I tell my students it's all about building relationships. That's what it's all about. The other thing is, so what is it? What's going on in your life right now that has you wanting to sell this property? It's like, and I always tell my students now. I always tell my, listen, you even get it down. You get the mantra down like cold. You know exactly. You know, your typical sales guy. And I tell my students, you know, the seller has a problem. It's your job is to find out what that problem is by just asking questions. And then the final thing is shotgun and rifle approach. When you're dealing with LoopNet, that's exactly how you do it. The shotgun and the rifle approach for finding people that are selling their deals. So right. That's I tell you, Larry. All right, so Larry, you know, you obviously have been trained by me to be a teacher. Well, because I am 72 years old, so you've been following me ever since you're a little kid. So
that's awesome.
Oh man, hey, thank you so much. I mean, we're coming up against the clock. Thank you. You were one of my first guests. I am so glad that you're one of my first guests here on my podcast, Larry. I don't think this internet thing is going to catch on though. You know, so I'll Nah, not at all. No. So, hey, tell us how we can get a hold of you, because I want the people to be able to reach out to you. I mean, you got your website, just straight up LarryGoins.com.
You got it. You got
Okay.
it. If people want to reach out to me, if they would like to get a copy of this book, Getting Started in Real Estate Day Trading, a copy of this book, HUD Homes Half Off, and a video training about the Filthy Riches model we talked about, just call my office at 877-LARRY-GO. 877-LARRY-GO, and they'll speak to Zenobia. She is my in-sourced virtual assistant that's non-virtual. She's right down the hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's from India, but she's right down the hall. So call 877-LARRY-GO and just ask for the free investors kit. And we'll make sure we get you a copy of this book and the HUD Homes Half Off and a video for Filthy Riches and a few other goodies as well.
Okay, now that's 877-LARRY-GO. Just Larry Go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
527-7946.
527-7946.
You got it.
Good, excellent. All right, Larry. Hey, it's so good to see you, and I'm sure I'll see you around in one of these conventions. We'll bump into each other. And
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you having me.